Hello. So we are to medieval Europe now. Okay, we just finished Africa and we're to medieval Europe. So, oops. So if you're like, where am I in the notes? Here's Great Zimbabwe. Okay, medieval Europe. Okay, going to Europe now. We are still in the exact same time period, 1200 to 1450. Okay. However, I will not, let me change that. I will not just start teaching the medieval period like right in the middle of the Gothic period. That makes no sense at all. Like I'm a medievalist. This is my thing. I can't just start in the middle. So you cannot understand this giant empire right here, the Holy Roman Empire, without going back to the year 800. You can't. So I'm going back to 800. You can't understand medieval England just starting with 1200. What? So we're going back to 1066. You can't understand the Pope having more power than the king, again, unless we go to the Holy Roman Empire, the year 800. So just understand that even though technically we're supposed to start in the year 1200, no, I can't. My little history brain, my little history heart can't. But do remember that as we start talking about Europe, it's the same time period. So everything that we talked about with the Mongolians having this massive empire, that's in the 1200s. Okay, Marco Polo comes from Europe at that time. It's the exact same time period as the caliphates here and across North Africa. It's the exact same time period as the Kingdom of Mali. In fact, it's medieval Europe that's trading with Mali. All right. So everything that we've talked about from the beginning of school, same time period. Okie dokie. Except I am backing up a little bit. Look at Europe. Oops, my head's too big. Okay. This is medieval Europe. Bunch of small little kingdoms. Guys, these are little kingdoms. Check this out. Let me show you something. I show y'all this in class, but if you were absent, you missed it, obviously. So let me show you this. This is the size of Texas compared to Europe, all right? So when I'm talking about the Holy Roman Empire, that's this right here. It's this whole thing. Look at Texas compared to all of Europe. Okay, so look. Texas is like this whole thing right here. Europe is pretty small. Like Africa I was talking about is huge. Europe is pretty small. Like when we were there, we were in other countries, like from what is this? The Netherlands into Germany pretty quickly. Okay. We drove. Yeah, we drove from Austria into Slovakia into Hungary pretty quickly. It wasn't like 10 hours like it is in Midland in Texas. So just understand Europe is much smaller, like when compared to what we're used to. So when you look at big old empires like this, that's smaller than Texas. All right. So if the Holy Roman Empire right here, is smaller than Texas, think about the size of France. Little. England. Little. Look at all these. Little. And look over here. I mentioned before, I mentioned to you previously, a lot of the countries, a lot of the kingdoms that you're used to today, they don't exist yet. They're not united. Like Spain. I already talked about Spain. This down here, Muslim controlled, Granada. All right. Sorry. And here you have, oh, that's Portugal, sorry. But here you have the kingdoms that will eventually make up Spain. They'll unite and make up Spain. Okay. Italy, isn't Italy yet. Right here, you have the Kingdom of Naples in A. Here you have the Papal States, and then this part of Italy is part of the Holy Roman Empire. Up here, England kind of looks like England, except you do have like other stuff over here. Scotland is pretty much Scotland, okay? But for the most part, I mean, it's just like, and look at this. Oh my gosh. This will eventually, let me move my big old head. This will eventually be Russia. Look at this. This will eventually be like Poland. Look at this. It's just a mess. So what we've got right now is a very decentralized, a very decentralized group of people. That means there's not like one Spain. There's a whole bunch of them. Okay. There's not one Germany. You're like, yeah, it's the Holy Roman Empire. Just wait. The Holy Roman Empire is a holy mess. It is an absolute mess of German countries, kingdoms, I'm sorry. So before we get into the actual kingdoms, we do need to look at something that the medieval period is like known for, okay? Christianity. Christianity, this is kind of a light map. You're looking at a map that is the spread of Buddhism this way and the spread of Christianity from right here, from Palestine, okay? In your last unit, you should have learned about this. Judaism and Christianity. Hope you did. Hope you did it. Okay, so Christianity by now has spread up into Europe. Now, it's going to take some time, okay? Let me go back to this map. The spread of Christianity, it's going to come from down here, all right, Israel, Palestine, whatever you want to call it, and it's going to spread through this area by one of the apostles, well, a lot of the apostles, but the two big ones that are like known for spreading it is Peter, focuses over here, and then Paul, who focuses, like he comes this way, and he's going to come all the way up into here, okay? So by now, by the 1200s, well, before that, but Christianity is spreading up here. It's definitely in this area, and that's when they push the Muslims out, okay? And it's making its way up here into like Norsemen, Viking controlled lands up here. All right, by the 900s, because Charlemagne is like part of the spreading of Christianity. I'll explain him in a minute. Well, probably in the next video, but whatever. So we have Christianity spreading, and the medieval period, especially the Gothic period of the medieval period, oh my gosh, it's like focused on Christianity. The medieval period's divided into three smaller sections, okay? The early medieval period is roughly from the year 500 to roughly 1000, okay? It's not like January 1st of the year 2000, we change and go from the early medieval to the Gothic period. No, but it just kind of happens that way. The early medieval period is when all of these different people groups, man, they're fighting like crazy. And they're trying to consolidate power and make a kingdom of Aragon here, or Navarre here, Navarre, whatever you say, or France here. Okay, they're fighting to create their kingdoms. Once you get to the Gothic period, we start to have this massive power struggle between the church, the Catholic Church, which I'll talk more about, and the kings. Well, the kings want to be in charge. Duh, I'm the king, I get to be in charge, right? No, not in Catholic controlled Europe. I gotta let my dog in. He's freaking out. Let me pause this. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so, and now they're growling. Okay, so once we start like getting through the Gothic period into the late medieval period, we're talking like 1300s, maybe like 1250s, but 1300s for sure, we're getting into the late medieval period. And that is a definite like universities. Universities are expanding. You have art that's starting to take a little bit of a different route, and we're starting to steer ourselves into the Renaissance, which is coming in the 1400s. So that's just kind of I don't know, a layout of how things look. I have a timeline somewhere that I showed you in class. I don't even know where it is right now, but you'll see it during reviews whenever I review at the beginning of each class. So, the other thing that the medieval period is characterized by, so we have the church and feudalism. The word feudalism, it's a weird word. Where is it? Church, the church. Here we go. You know, I have like some issues with some words. This is one of those words. It's just an ugly word. Feudalism. Feudalism is a social class system. It's the political and social structure of medieval Europe. Rich, middle, poor. But it's a little different than that. Basically, it's important people, not important people. Nobles, everybody else. Now, the nobles are further divided into groups, into sections, and the poor people are further divided into sections. And y'all, I've got tons, almost 7 millions, that's not true, of pictures that we look through in class. I'm not going to upload them all here. Oh my gosh, that would take forever. But these are pictures that like you know how I have you in like social statuses in class? I showed you what you look like in the medieval period based on the desk you sit in, what social status you are, and what like your job is. So if you want to know and you missed it and you're using this video for tutorials, come see me and I'll show you because I've got tons of cool pictures. But again, I was not going to upload them all here because there's like, you know, 40-ish. Okay. So that everybody has a thing. So anyway, I'm about to sneeze. Hold on. Okay, sorry. So anyway, feudalism. If you let it, feudalism gets complicated. It's really not hard though. Don't let it get complicated. Okay? Oh. This right here, what you're looking at, yes, this. If you missed class where I told you to mark this down, stop. Wherever you are in your notes. Guys, if you're in your notes and you've written this right here, right underneath this, I want you to write this down. This. This right here is the social status of Europe. And it's going to be this way until the French Revolution in 1789. Okay, we're in the early medieval period. We're in the 800s. It's going to be this way for like 1,000 years. So you need to know this. Write it down. Right now. It's okay. It's okay if your notes are weird looking. Do it. Okay, listen. The social structure of the medieval period. Whatever you're born into, that's what you're going to be forever. Kind of like with the caste system, but not exactly. There are ways that you can move up and down this social structure. It's not easy to do. Not easy at all, but it is possible. All right. That being said, basically, the what is it? The social classes in the medieval period. You have the lords, you have the nobles, and you have the peasantry. You have the important people, and you have everybody else. Okay. A lord is somebody that owns land. Have you heard in movies where they're like, "Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord." They own land. Okay. The lord at the very top of medieval society is not the king. It's the Pope. Huh. That's partially because of Gregory, Pope Gregory, creating the Papal States. It's also partially because of Charlemagne being crowned by the Pope. I'm going to explain this more, but the Pope is above the king. The king cannot do whatever he wants to do. He has to have it okay with the Pope. If the king wants to marry somebody, the Pope has to okay it. All right. If the king wants to, I don't know, nominate a bishop or something in the Catholic Church, the Pope has to okay it. I don't know if it's bishops, cardinals for sure, though. If the king wants to pass a new law, the Pope has to okay it. The Pope is above the king, he's at the top of society. Underneath the Pope are the kings. Now, if you have an emperor, which we will have with the Holy Roman Empire, the emperor is in between the Pope and the king. But that's not always the case. It just depends on if you have an empire or not, okay? But you'll see that in a minute. But you have an emperor and then you have the king. The king has to do what the Pope says, okay? The king has to do what the emperor says if you have an empire. There's always somebody higher than you, unless you are the Pope. Underneath the king, you have the nobility, okay? The nobility, they're kind of divided into different groups. You have the high-ranking clergy. This word clergy, it's one of your vocab words. I don't know if I put it in here or not. Oh, here it is right here. Clergy. The clergy, and it will be on your vocab quiz, by the way. The clergy, they're just people that work in the church. Priests, cardinals, bishops, monks, nuns. Clergy, they're just people who work in the church. If you don't work in the church, okay, then you're a lay, L-A-Y, you're a lay person. Okie dokie? So we have high-ranking clergy members. And we have this weird word here, vassals. The vassals are just rich nobles, high-ranking nobles, and we don't even know where their riches come from. We don't even know where their ranking comes from. Their families are so old. They've always been like up there in the government. They maybe work for the king. Maybe they're advisors to the king. They're just the rich, and we don't even know where that money came from. They've always been that way. The vassals, the high nobles. Underneath them, you have the knights. I shouldn't say underneath. I mean, technically they are, because the knights are the low nobles and the vassals are the high nobles, but they are all nobility, okay? But the knights, you know what a knight is? It's just a medieval warrior, okay? Again, in class, there's a ton of pictures that I show you of different knights, depending on which kingdom you're from. What you look like if you're French, what you look like if you're English, what you look like if you're a Crusader, what you look like if you're a Viking, and all this stuff. So again, if you want to see those pictures, come see me before school, after school lunch, and I will definitely show you. But to upload them all, so the knights are like professional military men, okay? When we go to war, we go with more than just knights. We take peasant warriors too from down here. But the knights are the men who own horses and they own armor and swords and stuff. They're higher up knights, okay? Underneath the nobility, you have the peasantry. And the peasantry tends to be divided also into like city peasants who do like menial little jobs, like servants, like house servants, or you have like the street sweepers, that kind of thing. And then you have this word. This is a weird word. I know it's weird. SERF. Serf. You better be careful on that spelling on your quiz because this word is on there. Again, wink, wink. The serfs are peasants who are tied to the land. They can't leave. They cannot leave the land. Why? Because their nobles say so. But could they leave? Guys, every year I hear the same question from kids. What if they left? They're tied to the land. The land that the king and the nobles own, the serfs are, I hate to say owned, but they're owned by the king and the nobles as well. So what if they left? They didn't. What if they did? Then they left, right? But here's the thing. In the medieval period, this whole system is based on oath taking. Oath taking, making a promise. Have you made promises before? Have you broken promises before? Okay, listen. I'm not dissing modern man. Hello, I'm one of them. But we today make promises every 2 seconds. And it doesn't really matter to us if we break them. You're like, yes, it does. I keep my word all the time. Have you ever said, Mom, I'll take the trash out tomorrow? And you didn't. Have you ever said, Miss, I promise I'll take care of that missing assignment? And I'm still begging for it today. Okay, guys, we kind of in modern times, we kind of throw around the word I promise like it's nothing. In the medieval period, though, especially among the peasants, they didn't have anything. They were poor. Some of the lowest serfs were starving. Everything they have is their word. They would not break their word. If they make an oath to somebody, if they make a promise to somebody, they kept it. Back to sneeze again. Sorry. And you could be punished and tortured or killed for breaking an oath. It's a big deal. It's not like today where it's like, I promise I'll be there. And then you don't show up and it's like, it's okay. No, it's not okay in the medieval period. Your word was all you had. So here's how it works. The nobility takes an oath to their king. The nobles promise to serve the king however he needs it. If he needs a noble knight to go fight for him, the knight goes. If he needs a noble vassal to be a messenger to another kingdom, he goes. If he needs a clergyman to, I don't know, do whatever, he does it. The nobles serve the king. In return, the king rewards the nobles. Rewards the nobles with what? Well, it could be land. They could be given a chunk of land to build, a castle or whatever on. It could be money. They could get money or riches or stuff. They could get a higher title. You've heard in movies like where people are called count or baron or sir in England. Those are noble titles. Lady, oh Lord is a title. Lady for women, baroness, countess, those are titles. And they're ranked titles. All right. A sir is lower than a baroness or whatever. So you could get a higher title if you serve the king correctly. Or you might get lucky enough to get the king's daughter or son. If your family is given the king's daughter or son, that makes your family part of the royalty. That's like the ultimate reward. So as a vassal, as a knight, as member of the nobility, you serve your king. Why? Well, because you said you would, and because there's always that reward coming. Now, on the other hand, the serfs also take an oath. Okay? The serfs and the peasants take an oath to the king. They don't promise to serve the king. Their oath is to provide for the king. They provide for the king, usually with whatever job they have. If you have peasants in the city that are the merchants and artisans, like they're the butcher and the baker. If the king is having a feast and he needs 400 pounds of meat, you provide it. If the king is, I don't know, his daughter's getting married and she needs a wedding dress, you're the dressmaker, you provide it. Okay. If you are the blacksmith and the king wants new armor or a new sword or jewelry, you take care of it. So typically whatever you produce, that's your provision to the king. If you are a farmer serf, okay, you're tied to the land, you're typically a farmer. You could be a rancher, like a sheep herder, you could be like a lumberjack or whatever, but they're tied to the land. They do like land based stuff. They don't have shops, they're not artisans, they're tied to the land. Typically, that means you're providing food for the king. Okay, you are sending your crops, usually in the form of taxes. The serfs and the peasants don't use money. They're on like a barter system. The nobility uses money, but not really the serfs. They use like barter, where you trade stuff. So they're going to provide for the king based on whatever they like produce food wise or whatever they make if they're artisans. All right. What does the king do for the serfs and the peasants? Does he reward them? No. He protects them. The medieval period, especially the early medieval period, roughly 500 to about 1000, it is war, war, war. I mean, yes, the Gothic period is too. Yes, the late medieval period is too, but just war, war, war. And all these people are trying to like take over other small kingdoms. They need protection. So, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as a serf, the knights will be sent out to protect you if there's an invasion by someone else. Okay? Basically, the feudal system, look right here. Oops. Basically, in the feudal system, nobles, look right here. Here we go. Nobles promise service to the king in exchange for a reward. Serfs promise provisions for the king, and then they're protected. It can get really complicated, but don't let it. The nobles promise to provide for the king promises to protect. Did I say the nobles? I don't know what I said. The serfs, the peasants, promise to provide for the king promises to protect. The nobles promise to serve the king promises to reward. Okay? And they actually abide by it. In some places, it's a blood oath. In some places, the serfs would cut their hand so that they had a scar, a visual, oh yeah, I need to do my job. In some places, they wore cuffs, like a piece of jewelry. Here, like you'll see it up here with Norsemen, where they would wear like a piece of jewelry that was given to them by the king. And it's like a visual, oh yeah, this bracelet reminds me of what I'm supposed to do. Okay? It's a big deal. You don't forget. And you don't break your oath. Again, like today, we just spout out promises like it's nothing. Not in history. Not at all in history. Okay. Right along with feudalism, it goes with it. They go together. Is the manorial system. Feudalism, the feudal system is political and social. The manorial system is economic. Look. Do you see the root word in manorial? It's a vocab word. It'll be on your quiz. The manorial system is all about the medieval manor, M-A-N-O-R. This is not manners like, okay, mind your manners at the table. Manor like, we typically think of a manor being like a big house. It's not just the house. This is a medieval manor. You're like, oh, okay, it's the castle. No. Here you have a walled city or a walled fortress. Typically what we look at and think is a city, or I'm sorry, is a castle. Not so much. And I'm right there with you. I didn't really understand what a castle, like a fortified castle with a wall around it here was until I went to one when I was 18 years old in Germany. I was like, whoa, this is like its own little city inside of this wall. I'll get there. I'll show you some pictures, but not in this video. It'll be in the video where we talk about like architecture and stuff. Okay. But what you have here, I mean, yeah, you have the castle, like where the king lives and everything and does his job and stuff, but you also have other buildings here. Other nobles live in here. Okay. The knights are like stationed up here on these big walls. Why do we need big walls? Well, the medieval period is all about fighting like crazy. Why do we put the fortress, the manor, the what is this called? The fortress, the castle. Why do we put it up high on a hill? War. I got to visit, this is a total side note, but I got to visit a castle. It's called the Marksburg in Germany. I didn't think about it or I would have pulled these pictures up. Like I show these pictures to you in school, like in class. I show you my pictures. These aren't mine. But the Marksburg, here we go. Look at it. It's on the Rhine River in Germany. It's way up on this, like, I don't know if it's considered a mountain or if it's just a big hill. To me, being from Midland, it's a mountain. But my father and I like hiked up this mountain to get to like tour this fortress. It's a hike, man. It's not just like a little hill. No. Let me see if they have a farther away picture so you can see it. What's cool about the Marksburg, I took a picture from really far away. Oh, this one will be good. Look. Do you see the ground? Look at that. And do you see in here? This is actually a great picture to show you. It's not just the castle. You also have other buildings here. You have like lookouts here. Now this is like modern, the museum part. I don't know what you would call it. Like they had like a little cafe, okay? But it's not just the castle. It's other stuff up here. I will, like I said, I do show you my pictures that I took, but I didn't think about pulling them up on here for this video. But here you can see, like, this is a big honking mountain, man. For Germany, it's probably just considered a hill, though. That's the river. Oh, here's some of the inside. And I'll show you. You'll see my inside pictures, too. It's really cool. And it's the only one. Oh, perfect. That's what I was looking for. And of course, it's small. Of course. That's what I was looking for. Here we go. There we go. Here's the Rhine River. And then here you see the little village of Koblenz, where it is. And then you see this up here. Oh, I guess this is Braubach and Koblenz is over here. But anyway, and then here's the hill/mountain that the Marksburg is on. Okay. So you put your castles on high ground. This is the only castle on the Rhine River that was never like taken over. Why? It's on the high ground. It's fortified, like big time fortified. But let me go back. But this isn't just the manor. In the medieval period, so would this. This is the manor too. Okay, look. The manor is basically self-sufficient. They can take care of themselves. Okay, they do trade with other cities and other kingdoms, all right? But they don't have to. They could take care of themselves if need be, all right? And what you see here, again, you see the fortress or castle, whatever you want to call it. You also see peasants, serfs that live out here. Okay, see serfs' houses right there. You have fields, first field, second field, third field. Why would you have 3 fields? Huh. What's that? A watermill? Huh. Maybe some technology. Here you have a church outside. The typically the bigger church, the cathedral in the medieval period, they're going to be inside up here. Typically, to begin with. I mean, of course, as these cities, because I mean, basically, this is a city, okay. But as these cities get bigger, of course, the churches are going to move out. But the big ones, this one's pretty big. The big ones are going to be inside usually. Okay, look. Do you see again? First field, second field, third field, water wheel. We have some technological advances that occur in the medieval period on the manor that make it self-sufficient. I mean, yes, you have like the blacksmith and the butcher and the baker and all these people inside here, but out here, technological advances, we need our food to be keeping up with like population. Well, check this out. If you look at your notes, right here, look right here. You have to rotate your crops. People have known this for forever. But what people were doing is they would farm this field right here. I'm just making this up, dates, okay? But they would farm this one year. The next year, they would farm the second field and leave this one. Why do we leave it? To get nutrients back. If you keep farming on this over and over and over and over and over again every single year, you're going to suck all the nutrients out. And eventually, you're going to have crop failures. You don't have enough nutrients in the ground. So you farm on this one year, then you leave that field alone and you farm on this, letting the nutrients come back in the first field. That's what people always did. It was like one year we use this one, the next year we use this one, then we use this one, then we use this one, blah, 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 blah. Well, they discovered, if we leave the first field for longer than just 1 year, there's even more nutrients. So they do this year 1, then they leave it for year 2, and they farm this. Then for year 3, they leave it. They leave it. And they farm a third field. Then for year 4, they leave it. They leave it. And they farm this one. The longer you leave it alone, you just allow for more nutrients to be able to fill it up better. Make sense? So that's going to help like with producing more crops and bigger crops in some cases. You're not going to have like little tomatoes. You're going to have good, big, plumpy tomato. Plumpy? Whatever. Big tomatoes. All right. So that right there is pretty impressive. Plus, you have a watermill. What does a watermill do? Power. You're able to use water as power. Plus, there's another. This is a water wheel, a medieval water wheel. So you can see it. I know you've seen these in like every Disney fairy tale. I think especially you see it in like Beauty and the Beast, I think. But water wheel. There's another thing though. The windmill. Well, what does that do? Produces power, but with the wind. This is one of my pictures from, it's called Kinderdijk, from Kinderdijk in the Netherlands. And I have to tell you, like we got to go inside of this. I never knew that there even like was an inside. Do you know the windmill family lives in here? I'm going to show you more pictures in class. Again, I'm not going to upload them all. I'm sorry. But I have so many pictures of the inside. It was really cool. And look at this. This place in the Netherlands, Kinderdijk. Look at all these water wheels. Why do I keep saying that? Look at all these windmills. Look at this. Windmill, 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 windmill. Look at all these windmills. Isn't that cool? But anyway, it provides power. Yeah, just power. Which is good because One of the problems that the medieval period runs into is a warming trend and then a massive cooling trend. Okay, look at our years. Okay, right here, the year 500 is considered to be the beginning-ish of the medieval period. Okay, the period 500 roughly to 1000 is roughly the early medieval period where everybody's fighting. Then you have this heating up trend where temperature was hotter. Okay, but then look, this is during the Gothic period. Look at this. Now, I know what you're like, but this is cooler. I know, but that wasn't the medieval period, so who cares? Look right here. When we have like the medieval period, Europe is starting to get stable. We're going to go into what they call a little ice age. Okay, listen. This is not like the ice age in like prehistoric times. This is not the ice age where you have like Sid and crap, what are their names? Manny and whatever his name is walking around. Not even close to that cold, not even close to that long. Okay. But one of the problems that's going to occur is this. People, they get used to the crops that will grow at this temperature in Europe. And then boom. But that's okay. We have an uptick. And then boom. And at each boom, there's an issue because people are like, oh crap, my crops aren't growing. You're going to see obviously food go down. And anytime food goes down, you're going to see population go down. Oddly enough, we tend to see something else when there's massive amounts of crop failures. This is such a weird thing that you probably wouldn't ever like think of as causing a revolution. But we tend to see, whenever we have like massive revolutions, we tend to see crop failures. Rome falls in the 400s. The French Revolution is in 1789. And y'all, I don't want to get controversial, and I'm not getting controversial, but we hear a lot about global warming today. Look. We are on an uptick. We're getting warmer. The fight that people have about global warming isn't really whether or not it's happening. We can look at temperature and we can look at our temperature throughout history. And we can see that temperature goes up and it comes down and it goes up and it comes down. Y'all, it's a cyclical thing. It happens on like cycles. We're getting warmer. The fight that you see people have over global warming isn't whether or not it's happening, it's what's causing it. Is it us, human beings, or is it natural? And that's where the fight is, and that's up to you. Whatever your opinion is, that's up to you, okay? That's what I'm saying. We're not getting controversial on here. I'm just telling you, look, I'm just showing you the facts. The question is, why? Are we human beings adding to it with all of our pollution and all of our stuff, or is it just a natural uptick of the temperature, a natural cyclical getting warmer? And again, you see major changes in history based on the cold times and the warm times. You do as well here, right here. This is the Gothic period. Oh my goodness. You definitely do. So it's just a little interesting, just a little thing to look at. But we do have a little ice age at the end of the medieval period. Okay. Oh, I'm going to stop there. I was trying to decide if I want to go into the Holy Roman Empire on this video, and I won't get it done in one class. So we're good. Next video. One of my favorites, the Holy Roman Empire. And my third most favorite guy in all of history. Bye.